Welcome to the case summary for Talmage versus Smith on 4lawnotes.com. This is a historic tort case from 1894 where a group of boys were climbing on the roof of the defendant's sheds, and the defendant spotted them and went over to them and told them to get down. Two of the boys were in his view, but the third boy may not have been. And as the boys were getting down, the defendant threw a large stick at one of the boys, and he missed him, but he hit the third boy and caused him to lose his sight in one of his eyes. So the boy sued for injury, and the lower court found in his favor, even though the stick was not intended for him. So the issue is whether it's unlawful and warrants recovery to the injured party if someone with intent hits someone and inflicts an unwarranted injury, even if the injury that resulted was an injury to another person other than the person who was intended. So the Michigan State Supreme Court affirmed the lower court holding in this case and articulated the doctrine of transferred intent, which occurs whenever both the tort intended and the resulting harm fall in the scope of the original action of trespass, meaning the 6 intentional torts: battery, assault, false imprisonment, trespass to land, and trespass to chattels. And the court laid out some scenarios that would illustrate whether a plaintiff would be able to recover for transferred intent. And for instance, if the defendant had thrown the stick without the intent to hit either the plaintiff or the person he was aiming for, then the plaintiff would not be able to recover. Or if the defendant had thrown the stick with the intent to hit the person he was aiming to and was using reasonable force, then there, again, the plaintiff would not be able to recover. But in this case, the defendant threw the stick with the intent to hit the person he was aiming at and was using unreasonable force. So in this case, it was an unlawful act, and the defendant was liable for the injury. And that concludes this case summary for Talmage versus Smith on 4lawnotes.com.